Well, this is what I meant by go higher. Look, Colonel Todd Riddle is a combat-decorated A-10 fighter pilot. We're really going to go higher. He's a former fighter squadron commander and parachutist with the 82nd Airborne. Thank you for your service. Round of applause for his service. Appreciate that. Riddle, as he likes to be called, has had 5 combat deployments and currently serves at the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. Wow. Todd and his wife Sarah began life together 26 years ago in pastoral ministry and now have 3 children, Jenna, Amen. Jake, and Trevor. He's a nationally recognized speaker. His first book, Faith, I'm going to give you that while I'm here. His first book, Faith, Family, and Fighter Jets will be available for pre-order midsummer. Right now I'm supposed to say welcome Riddler, but I looked at this and you left something out of here. Remember I had you check this out last night? It doesn't say how humble a man you are. So thank you. It's been an honor meeting you. Riddler, ladies and gentlemen, or no ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks. Awesome, wonderful to see you here today. And grateful for the opportunity. So I have a friend up there, John, running slides for us, so if he can pull those up. Fighter pilots have to talk with our hands, Crayola, and pictures, all right? And for those of you that I have not had a chance to meet yet, anytime that we're gonna visit, you're gonna understand that pictures are a key part of my ability to communicate because, well, they don't necessarily recruit the smartest of us to put into these planes. It's a great opportunity to be here with you today, and I'm blessed to share this day with you. So this is the A-10 Thunderbolt. I've been blessed to fly this jet for about 20 years. It's a close air support platform, and it is incredibly resilient to difficulty. So there is a dual hydraulic system set within the airplane if you were to get struck by a AAA. It has bulletproof glass on the front. There is high-mounted external engines that if the jet were to be hit by fire, that would not consume the fuselage of the plane, it would stay external. The people who designed this plane were brilliant in their ability to understand that this thing is designed to do dangerous things. So my mom, 22 years ago, God bless her, and I hope she does not watch this streaming version, she was very happy to see that, hey, this is a safe airplane. Not realizing that it's safe because you're gonna get shot at, right? And I didn't tell her that. But this jet is also built around a 7-barrel Gatling gun that shoots 70 rounds per second. It shoots laser-guided bombs, it shoots Maverick missiles, it shoots AIM-9 air-to-air missiles. The jet is designed to do dangerous things.
Come on.
The jet is designed to do dangerous things. And so I've learned a few things. Slide, please, John, for my partner up there. This is my son, Jake. Jake has taught me a couple of things about faith that we can learn. So Jake, I was helping teach him at school a little bit. He was doing some homework, slide, and we were working on our spelling. So he's writing rose, pool, nose, and I'm giving him the spelling words, and he then gets distracted, and I get distracted. I go around the corner, I hear the door shut to the back patio, and I come back and Jake is gone amidst his spelling quiz for me. And Jake left me a note. Let's see what Jake said. Dad, I went outside. W-H-E-N-T on a spelling test. Well, the next week we're working on how to tell time. And we'll go to the next slide, please. We're looking at the clock. It says Jamal's alarm clock went off at 7:15. The clock shows what time Jamal actually woke up. Did he wake up when the alarm went off? Yes. Explain. This is a part Jake doesn't have much patience for. It says, the clock says so. Next slide. And so there are some very simple things to learn that even though something might seem simple, or it might seem obvious, like telling the time or how to spell, it doesn't mean that we have applied those things to our lives. So learning from Jake and the Apostle Paul, let's look at Philippians 4:9. This is the passage that'll be the cornerstone of our message here. Whatever you have learned, received, or heard from me, or seen in me, put it into practice.
Come on.
Put it into practice. Slide. So there is an incredible amount of energy and excitement that I get getting to fly a jet. So this was a childhood dream of mine. When I was in 7th grade, I saw this crazy movie called Top Gun, and I thought, I want to do that. Actually, I wanted to be a starting strong safety for the Dallas Cowboys, and well, this is what I got. And so I thought flying jets might be more suited for what I do. And so it is a dream to get to come out and walk to that airplane, knowing that all of the years of physical training and academic tests and learning how to prepare and perform, that we're going to actually finally use this thing what it's designed to do. All right, I am excited for the opportunity to get airborne, even at this age, to say, all right, we're going to go use this machine for what it was designed to do. And one of those exciting things that we do right before I pull out of the chocks, days of preparation, all right, I hear a Rolling Stones song. Now, I know some of you are far too spiritual to hear anything from the Rolling Stones. But the song Start Me Up goes through my head as I push the throttles forward and this 45,000-pound warbird pulls out of the hangar.
Wow.
Start me up. And so next slide, please. This crew chief is telling us how to pull chocks. Go back, John. I lost you on one. And so one of the things that you need to do is before I get ready to move, all right, I put my hands together like this. So put your hands together, all right, just like that. And you go right like this. Pull chocks. Pull chocks. And so we use that kind of as fighter pilots to say, hey, this meeting has gone too long, pull chocks. I'm at my in-laws' house, and I look at my wife, and I'm like, hey, it's time to go. But we have had enough. My cowboys are getting blown out. We're like, we're out of here, all right? So I do this, and you say, let's do it together, pull chocks. One more. Now, don't be afraid. I'm not going to sell you hand soap or anything like that, all right? Pull chocks.
Pull chocks.
Okay, pull chocks. So that's what we need to do. We are excited, all right, and energized and ready to go do what we have been designed and trained and prepared to go do. Next slide. So part of our military readiness training is called ORIs, Readiness Inspections, in which we simulate that we have been under chemical or biological attack. And we wear these horrible charcoal-lined suits and gas masks, and you try to breathe through a little bit of a straw and drink water there. And so there was a 2-year period of time when, even though I'm the fighter pilot, I am working with maintenance out on the flight line, sitting in a stinky bread truck, as I kind of try to be the chess master to say, hey, this jet needs these bombs loaded, this jet is broke, that's not going to work. And so we are preparing for this exercise, and it is not going well. We have plateaued in our performance, and we are not improving. Things aren't getting better for us. And so it's on a beautiful Saturday afternoon as I sit in there wearing this gas mask for 2 hours, and I'm getting a hot spot from the strap on my head. And it smells bad, and my Huskers are on TV, and my family is eating something with cheese on it, right? I did not become a fighter pilot to sit in Missouri pretending that we're getting attacked. So I start to pout. And I don't remember any scenes in Top Gun of a guy wearing a charcoal suit thinking, this is why I'm serving my country. And as I sit in this suit and pout, all of a sudden the weather changes. Slide, please. And the clouds turn dark, and the windsock on top of the hangar spins around, and a storm blows in, and it is immediately chaotic. We are scrambling jets back, opening up hangars, trying to get them into sunshades and chalked and safely away from the storm. And as we are frantically barking out radio calls and these jets are coming back, I feel this bump in the back of the truck. I'm like, what in the world is that? And there's a guy sitting behind us. It's like a mail truck, and he's working on things, and boom, something hits the truck again. And now as I look out and the wind is gusting, a bright blue porta-john has hit the truck, and now it bounces out right in front of us, takes a half pirouette, and slides right towards the jets. The surreal scene of a flying blue box of poop is headed right for our fighter jets. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And we scramble out and we grab hold of this thing, and we're laughing, thinking, what in the world are we going to do with this? And a young airman comes up and he says, well, you know, if we tip it over, it won't blow away. We're going to tip over a porta-john. Okay, there's a reason you only have one stripe, young man. We're not going to tip over a porta-john. So those jets get safely hangared. And when you bring a jet to the hangar, you put those 25-pound wooden chocks back in. All right, and while that jet is there, it is rearmed, refueled, repaired. It's taken care of. The crew can go get rest. And then that same day, the jets launch again to go back out and do the mission. It's critical to understand that the jet is not designed to remain in the hangar.
Wow.
That is a temporary place of refurbishment.
Come on.
We are designed to go out into the world and to do dangerous things.
Come on, Riddle.
Not remain sated or pampered
Come on, Riddle.
or obese Will we remain in the church only to feed? You are designed to do dangerous things for the kingdom of God. I don't want you in this place safely cloistered with other unoffending Christians.
Come on,
we are called to purity, but I want you to maintain a witness in that fantasy football league, amongst that motorcycle group, with your garage band, at the community theater. It is in those places that he has called us and compelled us to be.
Come on.
Right.
That's what a hangar is for. Come to the church, be refreshed, be renewed, and then you go do the mission. You get your home. Slide. And so what other things, slide for me back there, John, if you're awake with me. What other things has Paul told us to do? How should we prepare ourselves? Well, this is an image of what we are doing within the spiritual battleground. This is actually my last A-10 Finney flight. You are in harm's way. You are doing dangerous things. You are there to serve on behalf of another.
Wow.
Right? Just like the military, who is sent to protect and save others, Christ was sent to us.
Yes.
He sent his disciples, and you now are being sent out for the benefit of another.
Come on.
It is important for us to know that we are not called to a life of self-focus. We are called to a life of self-sacrifice.
Jesus.
And there is a mission for each of you in this place. There is a calling that you are uniquely equipped for. There is a circumstance and people that only you and your voice can minister to. And Christ is calling you to say,
Pull the chocks.
all right, we had a little remedial training here. That's regression. That's not uncommon. All right, I pulled that a little fast on you. You weren't ready. Retraining. All right, Christ has called you to
Pull the chocks.
pull chocks and get airborne. All right, get out there and do what he has called us to do. But you don't begin on your first day of pilot training flying a fighter jet and strafing. Slide. You begin your fighter career flying something ridiculous. You can go on to the next slide. And this looks like the wrong set of slides. So what I will tell you is that the jet, it is absolutely the wrong set of slides. The jet that we have, well, actually, go ahead, go to one more. Thank you for your patience. Nope, that's wrong. All right, the jet I flew was a T-37 Tweet. It is this ridiculous-looking little side-by-side airplane. All right, that you step up and it's only this high. It was designed in the 1950s. You didn't see anybody in Top Gun flying a Tweet. You didn't hear anybody say tweet, right? That doesn't sound very tough. And in fact, it was better at generating noise than it was thrust.
Wow.
But as I got in there and I sat down, I sat right next to an instructor pilot, a highly capable person that would demonstrate something and then I would do it. And on my first sortie with him, he showed me how to do a barrel roll. Continuous G, symmetric barrel roll. I'm climbing, carving, we get inverted and back. And he says, just like this. And my turn came up. I'm watching him demonstrate. It's my turn to do. I take the aircraft, I pull the nose up, I get inverted, I realize I don't like this, I've never done this before. I slam the stick forward and we get inverted and bunt. Negative G. Negative G. So what happens is the instructor pilot falls in the straps of his ejection seat and his head is slammed against the canopy. So we were both there upside down looking at each other as he laughs and says, that's okay. And he took the jet and leveled it back out. I was not expected to know or to be perfect or to have the proficiency of my instructor pilot on the first day.
Wow.
And Christ has done the same thing with his disciples. Walk with me, follow me, see what I do, and now you go do it. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I'm not expected to be as good as him on the next day. All right, if we could bring the slide up, I'll try to catch up with where we're at. So, other passages that I wanted to look at with you. Philippians 1:6. If you would be able to pull that up for yourself or not. Need to be able to zoom in here. Being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion in Christ Jesus. He who began a good work. That means there is a process. I am not expected on my first day of pilot training to be as good as I was at year 20. He began a good work. All right? The next passage for us to understand within that is that he will continue to do a work. meaning that all of us are in need of refinement our entire Christian walk. Until he takes us home again, he will continue to do work. So when I step out to the jet, one of the first things that happen is they hand me this great big set of greasy forms. And I open these forms, and those forms tell me the story of the jet, who flew it today, what's broke, what isn't broke. And there is a coding on there, red dashes or red X's. A red dash, I can fly the jet. A red X means, no, we're gonna have to repair it. And it's a clear, concise history of what's going on with that airplane. Now, over the 3,000 times that I have walked out to that airplane, never once has that jet been perfect. There is always something in there that needs a repair. It might be something minor, to say like, hey, there's paint chipping on the front of this thing. Hey, it's popped a rivet on this side. Or it might be something significant, to say, hey, the navigational aid isn't working, you're gonna need to use a different one. Not in a single instance has that jet been perfect, but it's flyable. But it's flyable. And so the Lord would want you to know today that please do not wait to pull chocks and go do your mission because you think someone else can do this better. I am not worthy, or I don't have a skill set. I am not the preacher that Sammy is going to be for you here shortly. But what we would want to know is to say, are you, and is this jet flyable? God uses broken people like you and broken people like me right now to get airborne, to be flyable, and to convey the love of Christ for those who desperately need it. For those who desperately need it. Please do not await a perfection. That's not going to come on this side of heaven before you begin to communicate the case and love of Christ to those who are in need. So the other great thing about the A-10 is I work arm in arm with joint terminal air controllers. These are the guys on the ground, hiding behind rocks and calling out targets and calling in air power. There's a kindredship there, that they're the ones in need. And we are there to serve them. And so in 2008, I'm sorry I don't have the picture available for you, I was in Afghanistan and there was a convoy that had been ambushed. And Afghanistan is an incredibly beautiful and rugged country, and sheer rock wall mountains and ridge lines. And we had gotten a call that this convoy has been ambushed. There has been an explosion and they have some injuries. And they also heard, we are expecting an additional ambush of 100 enemy Taliban soldiers. And so I happened to be airborne at the time, as is another guy, and we scramble our way over there and try to find out where they are on the ground and can we see them. Well, there are thunderstorms building all throughout the day. And as those thunderstorms build, they are now right over where we have located this convoy. And I can hear in their voices their desperation and their need for someone to come and be of service to them, to save them, to go into harm's way on their behalf. And as I hear those radio calls and know their desperation, and as I look at each of you, do you think the people that need to hear about Christ care about your imperfections? Do you think the gentlemen that were down there, frightened, terrified, they've exploded, they have been shot at, do they care that the jet I'm in has chipped paint? Do they care that when I rolled inverted, I bunted and about knocked out the instructor pilot cold? Do they care that I used to get airsick? No. They care that you come as you are to communicate the love of Christ today. And so I'm able to fly into the storm. I make a couple of radio calls to say, hey, I need to know, are you truly in danger? Because this is not going to go well. I need to know. I said, yes. They're frightened. We need something to dissuade the enemy. Our radio communications that we've intercepted, all right, tell us that there's going to be an ambush. So as I fly into an embedded thunderstorm, the jet begins to pitch up and down wildly. The cockpit gets all dark, and I'm trying to find anything on the ground as a reference for where they might be. And as the jet pitches up and down and I roll sideways, all of a sudden it starts to hail. And it gets deafeningly loud in this fighter jet with hail. And as I roll up a wing, I can see a very thin green ribbon of agriculture that goes right along the river there. And so I roll inverted and bam, I take a hailstone right to the canopy, boosh, and it cracks right in front of me. It's like getting hit by a shot put at 300 miles an hour. I couldn't believe the intensity of it. But as I roll down, I finally drop down and fly right over the top of this ambushed convoy. And I am trying to look as imposing and loud and scary as possible. And I'm dispensing flares, trying to dissuade or to deter the enemy from what they want to do. All right, and then I check the throttles full up and I cut to the side as I fly down this canyon and stick the jet on its tail to fly back up out of this box canyon and re-enter the weather while I'm trying to do the mental math. I already alluded to my inability to think like that publicly, and I'm gaining altitude, but now I'm back in the storm, and I take another couple hailstones and the canopy continues to crack, and I'm wondering, am I gonna make it out of this canyon in time, right? Am I going to make it high enough before I run out of the airspeed? And those kinds of things are in my mind as I'm trying to do the pilot stuff and click in for different maps and where else should I fly, and I'm laughing thinking, boy, and Mom thinks this is the safe airplane, right? But I want to encourage you to know that God has called you, and I compel you to pull chocks. And I want you to go away knowing this today, that just because something is obvious or simple, like what Jake has told us about telling time or spelling, doesn't mean that it's apparent in our lives. And I want you to know that it is a process by which we begin where we are right now. Lord, how can I begin to be a messenger for you to those who are in my circle? All right, and know that God has placed you. To pull chocks does not mean for you to be displaced, to go someplace else. It means I'm going to use you as you are, broken, today, to witness to other people for me. Right. So very clearly, I want you to understand that God calls us into right relationship with Him. God bless AJ for his message. God equips us for a unique mission that is unique to you. I am hopeful that being able to be a fighter pilot opens keys to people's hearts that maybe a pastor might not be able to open. In the same way, you have keys to open people's hearts that would never listen to me, for whatever reason that might be. But you are uniquely equipped for His purposes. Right. So God calls, God equips, and God sends. Christ was sent for us. He sent His disciples, and now we are sent. Not to remain in the hangar. Imagine had those gentlemen on the ground who I flew in to do my best to try and save. If I had come to understand the mission of the A-10 was to remain safely in the chocks. It's safe. I'm fearful. I'm not good enough. The point of this airplane is to remain under a hangar. No, that's not what the design is for. Your design is to do dangerous things. Right. And I'll conclude by repeating the previous line. I want you to know that we are not called to self-focus that takes up permanent residence in the chocks or permanent residence in the hangar. You are called to look at your forms and be aware, Lord, you are doing work in my life. Some of it might need me sidelined for a little bit, but I am not going to be perfect. But you use broken people like you and me to help us not be self-focused, to be self-sacrificing. That's good. What we have been called to do, what we see Paul to do, put it into practice. God calls and compels us to pull chocks. It's wonderful to spend the day with you today. God bless you.
Thank you so much. I told you we were going to fly high.